Hello, everybody. I'm just adjusting my camera, and you're probably wondering why I am adjusting my camera, and it's because Facebook really changed a lot of settings when you go live, and now it's like I can't set this up before I hit the live button. I don't know. I'm trying to be okay with that, but it is weird. Anyway, so I know it's weird for me to be live this early. We have cat issues today. Our cat is very sick. I think she's dying, to be honest. And so we're going to be taking her to the vet in a few hours. And so our vet is not close. And so I just figured I wouldn't be back in time to do a live, and I don't know what kind of emotional state I will be in at that point, because our little kitty is almost 19 years old. She's very much a part of my life. Anyway, but I'm not going to think about that right now. I want to think about this. This is Market Goodness. This is a stamp set that I have had my eye on this paper from the time that the catalog went active, because I'm fascinated by I don't know, everything veggie. It's so popular right now. And so I just want to show you the papers real quick. Good morning, Margie. One side has flowers, the other side has plaid. There's these little, and so these could be fussy cut. They don't have a die that matches these, but these are not terrible fussy cuts. This one, you can cut out the little bags. The other side is a purple plaid. And then there's this one that's sort of it's kind of a peachy color, but it is the next generation of Gold Rush. Like, I matched it. I don't love this one, this little flower, but it's the next generation of Gold Rush, which is an autumn color. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should get out all my autumn colors with this, because let me just grab a couple, okay? So like this whole set looks really good with the pumpkins and the eggplants, the purples, and you know, the dark browns and dark greens and dark reds. These are like fall colors, you know? And so think of that with this paper. And then this one is more of a solid green. It's kind of it's not quite as dark as evergreen. I would say it's like pine, closer to pine, or yeah, pine. This one is, see, it's kind of in between. Anyway, and then the one side has this really great wood grain, okay? It's like a toffee wood grain, and one side has these flowers. And these flowers are what made me think, well, this is a fall pack. This is definitely, sorry, I'm moving my colors in, reaching across the screen, but you can see that, look at the colors, right? These are the colors. And so when I was thinking of this pack, I'm like, this is fall. This is definitely autumn kind of thing. And since I'm kind of in that autumn kind of mood, I was like, well, I'm going to get out this pack and I'm going to use it. The other thing I grabbed, the other thing that's part of this pack, which I haven't shown yet, it's buried in here because I've been using it. Sorry, I added a bunch of stuff to it, is the actual veggie paper. And the other side of it is this kind of peachy flower. Now, all the flowers in here aren't necessarily my gig. Yes, I can use the flowers. As a matter of fact, Friday, I'm gonna make some cards, and I'm gonna use some of the flowers in here. I like to use up my paper packs. I don't like to have 1 or 2 sheets of this and 1 or 2 sheets of that left. So I'm anxious to use this up. But the cool thing about this particular paper is that the stamp set, which is buried, has a really great die set. And the dies coordinate with this paper. So there's the little tomatoes and the carrots and the lettuce and the onions, or the turnips and radishes. The radish has one, but the little turnip, I think that's a turnip, doesn't. And so, pretty cool that, so the only ones on here you would have to fussy cut if you wanted it would be the little peppers, and these little radish things. So I think that's pretty cool. The other, make sure I don't miss any. The other die that this has is like a little mesh bag, and it cuts out like this. Sorry, it's really dark in here. It's about to storm very hard. It looks like it's 8 p.m. outside. That's how dark it is. And we're under storm warnings. And so I'm anticipating some big, the thunder's been loud. If I scooched my camera over a little, you would see that I am standing straddling my dog, because every time it thunders, he wants to be close. Anyway, aside, I took the mesh bag and I put a little piece of vellum behind it, and I used my toffee ink and a blending brush and colored my vellum a little bit tan, and I put that on there because I wasn't as crazy about the big open bag. It just doesn't look to me like an open bag. So let me just show you, for example, if you were going to tuck in some veggies in here, so you could see what it looks like. Oh, there goes the rain and the thunder. You might be able to hear it, I don't know. Anyway, so you can kind of see what it looks like when it's tucked in the bag like that. And then if you tuck it in behind the vellum, I don't know, it just looks more real to me, like it's a real bag, where this is just a little too open weave. I wish it was a little tinier holes, but I do like this. So, and that wasn't hard to do. I just glued it on a piece of vellum and trimmed it. Anyway, but today I want to do a scrapbook page. And so I added this wood grain, and this is from the Country Woods pack. And I really like this one because specifically it's got these like orangey gold colors in the wood grain, which kind of coordinates with the papers really well. And so I thought that was pretty cool. All right, so let me move these out of the way, and I want to show you a couple of things. So I went online and I started typing up some garden titles, because one thing this pack does not have is scrapbook titles. It's truly like a card making set. Bursting with happiness, for you, thanks a bunch, hello. That would be amazing for making cards, but not necessarily for scrapbooking. And so I was thinking like of gardening, if you wanted to do a gardening page, you could do something like, harvest blessings, bountiful blessings, my happy place, life began in a garden, that kind of thing, fresh picked. Or if if you wanted to, oh, it's torrential now. You can't even see the neighbor's house at this moment. I have the front door open so I can watch it. So, yeah, I like to watch it rain. And, oh, a guy just went by on his bicycle. Holy crap. Crazy. All right. He's getting wet. Okay. And then the other thought I had was, if you wanted to use a garden theme, like use these papers, but you don't garden like me. I don't garden. You could just use it for like sunshine and happiness and just do people, outdoor pictures. Go green and tell a story about how you recycle, or you could do pictures of the market, you know, the local market. Plant smiles, grow laughter, harvest love. Those are kind of generic-y, kind of, you know, any kind of homegrown whatever. Homegrown. Holy moly, it's really, really raining. And then I went online and started printing off some photos of what other demonstrators have done with this set. And so I have all of these photos, and if you buy this pack or you're interested in these, let me know. I feel weird posting other people's you know, artwork, even though I'm showing it here, whatever. But there are some really cute cards. Thanks a bunch. It makes a great thank you card. So I want to start by doing a double page layout. The pictures that I have, I told you I don't garden, but this is a gardening style layout. The pictures I have are of us cooking, and we make something every year. We started making it last year, and it's become something that we enjoy, and it's called yard sauce. Yard sauce. So I'm gonna start with this. I don't have a lot of pictures. I only have like 3 pictures. So I can do a lot of decorating doing a 2-page spread. And I decided I really like the idea of having the wood grain on here. And so that's where I'm starting. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I want to put this little green border on my wood grain and make it even. And so I'm just going to just lay this on here just like this. I'm just trying to get this ready to adhere down, and I just want this fairly even on both sides. Pretty close. There. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down. And this will be the start of my page, okay? And I don't want it all the way to the top. I just took this wood grain and I think I just split it in half. Is it? Nope, it's 5 inches. These are 5 inches. All right. Okay, now, before I move on, I want to make some decorations. So I'm going to set this aside for just a minute. And there's a few things I want to make. The first thing is I bought this set a while back and I haven't even used it. I thought I would use it a lot, and I'm going to use it with I have a lot of really cool things to fill in this little wagon. It's so cute. Look at that, isn't it cute? And then it has like little wheels and everything. And then, but what really appealed to me is this die cut right here. And if you look at it, it's dimensional. It's very much like that sled die that I showed you guys, where it makes this dimensional like wood planks for the outside of the wagon like this. And so it's the only thing I used out of this one today. I'll set it aside. But I just wanted to show you that because I used that wood grain and I put a whole bunch, I made a whole bunch of these cuts. And my thought was to make them look like little veggie crates. So by doing them in brown, you know, they look like little crates, and then we can tuck our vegetables in. And then I went ahead and, let me get my, oh, sorry, Moose. I'm stepping on my dog. I made a whole bunch of little vegetables. I cut them out of, some of them I cut out of the paper. I tried this in like this toffee color. I fussy cut one of the little barrels from that paper that has all the like handbags and purses and stuff on it. And you can see like I stamped that one and I cut that one out of the paper. So you can see the difference between the stamp and the die cut. And I did the same thing for a lot of the others. So like this one I stamped, and then this one I fussy cut. And I have lots of little onions that I stamped and cut. I just did a whole bunch of little veggies so that we could fill crates with vegetables. Oh, the lettuce was the biggest difference because I didn't want all my lettuce to be this color of green. I liked the limey color of green, and so I did them in different colors. I stamped these, and these are from the paper. So, all right, and that's left over from something else. I need to put that away. Anyway, so I also cut, I also messed around with making the crates like have a back on them like this and making them deeper, but I didn't like that as well. So I left this here, but I don't think I'm gonna end up using it. All right, so there's that. I'm gonna just set this to the side for a second because I have one more thing to show before we decorate our page. The other thing that I made was some tomatoes. Now you probably think I'm crazy doing these by hand, but yard sauce is a tomato recipe. I'll show you. But I made some cherry tomatoes just by using a paper punch. This is a 1 1/4 inch punch, but you know, honestly, you could anything, right? And then the other thing that you can do is just make a tomato. So they're not round, right? They're kind of oval, most of them. And the difference is at the top, they have kind of a little bean kind of shape. And so if you, I keep cutting that choppy. All right, so if you want to make a tomato, just cut it into like an oval form, right? Now, the other thing that makes a tomato look like a tomato is cutting the little topper. Now, this is a little different, but like if you wanted to, think of it like a starburst. So you cut in like that. I'm just gonna cut it like a starburst kind of, and I'm not being too careful about how I cut it because they're not perfect. If you punched out a star shape, for example, you would be like, well, that doesn't look like a tomato. That looks like I put a star in the middle of my tomato, right? So it's kind of wonky. It's kind of weird. That one's a little big. And then, you know, you put it in the middle of your tomato and it makes it look like a tomato, even though, of course, that is not perfect at all. Now the other, for this one, I just did the same thing. I just cut it back and forth like this in different sizes, because the tops of tomatoes, right? So I just kind of cut it like this, looks like hair. And then if you put it on here, you can cut the bottom so it'll kind of look like the top of a tomato. I think it's too round. All right, I'm gonna cut some of that off and make it more shaped like my, there. Look at that. That looks like a tomato. See how it's kind of, I know they're not perfect, but that is how I made my decorations. I just cut a bunch of tomatoes and then I did some vines, which I basically just took a strip of paper like this and cut, you know, cut it out and there's a vine. I mean, no frills, right? All right, so now we are ready to decorate. Now that you know how I made these crazy decorations. And we are going to make our right-hand side of the page, because I want to put crates all down the bottom. Now, I think the white is going to be really stark. And so, and then fill them with veggies. So I think I need to put some shading down here of some, you know, just a little color, but nothing too crazy. Maybe toffee or green would work. All right, I'm just gonna real soft put some color. You may not even be able to see it very well. On camera, but oh yeah, you can see it. You can see what I'm doing. All right, I just want it not to be quite so stark, that's all. All right, I'm ready to do crates. So let's lay these down. I kind of thought 5 crates, but maybe 4 will be enough. Okay, and then I will take some of my veggies and tuck them into the crates. So I've got carrots. Some of my carrots, I use the edge of the paper, so I'll put those in upside down. And then tomatoes, of course, because of course this is a tomato recipe that we make, and so I really love having the tomatoes in each thing. Some of the tomatoes, like this one I stamped and this one I cut. So you can see the different, there's not much difference. I actually kind of like the stamped one better because it has a little highlight on it. And I could take my white pen and highlight the others, but I'm just showing you the differences. We need some lettuce in each crate. These are so cute. I mean, look at this. This is really cool. Wouldn't this be cool for a farmer's market page or something? Okay, so I don't want them all like lined up across the bottom. I do think I want them, I do want them kind of wonky. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna flip these over and I'm gonna put some foam tape across the bottom of each crate. And that'll lift it just a little bit so I can tuck my veggies in easier. Can you guys hear it thunder and stuff? Woo! I think it's gonna move through pretty fast. Now, it's still dark out though. Dang. I'm glad I came over here when I did. Otherwise I'd be walking over here in the rain. I wore my rain shoes just in case I have to walk back in the rain. All right, so let's do this. Let's start with this one. I want this one a little bit wonky. I don't want them all even, right? Okay, veggies, veggies, veggies. Lots of them. But this would be really cute as a border too. I mean, just think like how cute that would be going across your page. You know, just all the way across. That'd be adorable. Maybe I'll do that on my next page. It's fun to make the vegetables. You know, sometimes I don't like making all the little parts and pieces. Like, I really do wish that this had like a sticker set that went with it or something. Like you could coordinate, you know, stickers and stamps and the dies and everything together. It'd be really nice. But it just doesn't. All right. There's that. Now I'm going to get out my glue. Where's my glue? Oh, you know what? I dropped my glue on Moose. Hold on. It rolled off the table and landed on my dog. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the veggies and I'm going to tuck them into the crates like this. And I'm just going to keep going across the page. What's everybody else got going on today? Today is going to be rough for us. I have a feeling we'll be putting my cat down. She's not doing good. She's been a part of our life for so long, and I just, it's so hard. It is so hard. And Moose has been bugging her because I think she's, you know, their animals know when there's something wrong. Like, for sure, right? All right, this one was the one that I cut from the edge of the page, so I'm gonna put it upside down. Now, the other thing that I have vegetable-wise over here, I have some little onions, and I thought I could, you know, tuck them in the top, but they kind of get hidden. So what if I put them like they're coming out like that? That's cute, right? These little turnips. And the little radishes. I'm kind of making them go through the crate like that. So you can still see them, but they're, little onion. I'm gonna just tuck that in there. I have red onions. Those were cut from the paper. The other thing that I cut, okay, one of the things that you can stamp and cut this little like turnip guy. And I did a whole bunch of him because I wanted this greenery off of it. So you can chop the greenery off. Oh, look, I did a pepper too. Let's see what I got. Okay, anyway, you can take the greenery off of it and you can tuck it in where it looks kind of like it needs a little something, you know what I mean? So see how that, I tucked that in, it looks cool. All right, tuck in there. There we go. See how that is? I love it. I just love how it looks. And I think, you know, overall, everything looks pretty good. I just keep adding. Just keep adding. I'll add a little pepper. I'm just gonna put that on the outside. Okay, it just looks weird that way. It needs to be tucked in somehow. Hold on a minute. I'll cut the bottom off, that way it looks like it's still in the crate. There we go. Okay, so there is my right hand page. I really like how this is. Ooh, you know, I think this rain is gonna pass through, and he probably won't even have to drive through it unless he is driving like right now, because I heard that down south got a ton, like they got theirs. Okay, the left side of the page. All right, I'll show you what I did. This recipe is from a stamp set from last Christmas. Remember the freshly baked that was so popular? Oh yeah, I could lay things loose around. I gotta see how many veggies I have left, and then I'll scatter. I'll scatter at the end. And then I made this alphabet set is called the Pattern Block Alphabet, and I bought it and I never really found a good use for it. And today I thought, oh, this is perfect. And then of course, I really like this alphabet from Stampin' Up. See how it's all on one die and it cuts all your letters, so you can like cut your words out like wicked fast. So I used that one. And then I was kind of looking through my other gardening style stamps just to see what else I have, because I thought about doing a seed pack instead of the recipe card, or using this garden, you know, for one of my pages. I just thought, oh, it's possible. And there's lots of cute little sayings, and of course hearts. Close to my heart, you know, has all those hearts. Anyway, so what I want to do is, the reason I left this side blank is because I want to have the decoration over here. And then I have a picture of yard sauce. Yard sauce is basically, you take a bunch of tomatoes and a bunch of basil leaves, you put them in a sheet pan, drizzle them with olive oil and salt. That's basically it. Oh, and an onion. And you bake it down for like an hour. And then when it's all cooled down, you have these roasted tomatoes, and then you put them in a blender and blend them up, and then you can freeze it, and then you have tomato sauce all year. So I made a variety of tomatoes. See this? And I did some cherry tomatoes. I did a couple vines over here. So I just need to put these tomatoes together. See, I used the pattern paper to cut my tomato toppers here. So what's in Texas, Margie? What's happening in, I mean, like, did you say? Like, why there? We've been starting to plan our next Disney trip. That is so much work. Oh my gosh. I can't get over how much work it is to plan Disney now, and how expensive it is. Holy moly. I had no idea it had gone up so much. It's easily gonna cost us at least $2,000 more than last time we went before the pandemic. I'm like, whoo, that's one expensive trip. This is why we don't travel a lot, because we tend to like to go to places that cost some money. But dang. Okay, so I have some tomatoes. This little cherry tomato. And then I have this vine. Now, I don't know how I'm going to make this look right, but I'm going to have it, I think I'm just going to put glue on it and commit to putting it down wherever and making it work. I'm just going to make it work. It may not look great. Who knows? But there's that. And then my tomatoes, I feel like they might need a little dimension, a couple of them. This one definitely does. I can put this one flat. I don't know. I just feel like they need, a couple of them need some tape or some dimension. Hi, Christy. Ah, that is a long distance relationship right there. Unless they're on vacation together. But good for him. They're, I think last time you were, did he go there not long ago too? Because I feel like we had this conversation one other time, not terribly long ago, that he was heading to Texas. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put this down. I know I want it wonky like this. I'm gonna just lay it. I'm not gonna push hard on that or anything. And yeah, a couple months. God, time flies, man. Seriously, wow. All right, so I'm just gonna put my tomatoes on here. That. And then I have this little one. I'm not sure where I'm gonna put that one yet. Down here, I'm gonna put my cherry tomatoes. I feel so incredibly fortunate that, you know, Steve and I found each other so young, and, you know, being able to spend, I cut some wonky looking leaves too. You know, being able to spend our lives together. We basically have grown up together. We just had a wedding anniversary. I think it was 38 for us or something like that. But we've dated for 4 years first, so we've been together like 42 years. Isn't that wild? Let's see. And then I want to put this up here. Yeah, we'll do that. So one of the this is just one of the weird recipes that we do. People give us things from their garden. Our neighbors almost all garden. And we're like, I have a whole countertop full of yellow squash right now. And I need a good recipe for squash, because the only thing I do with yellow squash is throw it in the oven and like, you know, kind of like roast it with some olive oil or Parmesan. I don't do too much with it. And it's like, I probably should figure something out with yellow squash. I'm going to get more, I'm sure. Okay, and then I have another tomato. I do think I like that there. And it kind of covers up that blank spot on my recipe card. All right. Down here in the corner, now down here, I want to do another crate or two. And I want to do that basket. And the basket, since it's a tomato recipe, I want to put tomatoes falling out of it. And then I'll put more veggies here. So, gotta do the crate thing again. You might wonder how much time I spent making this stuff. And I would say I took about an hour, and I stamped just gobs of different veggies, and then I just die cut. Die cutting, you know, if you can die cut a whole bunch at a time, it doesn't take very long, but gosh, you know, die cutting is not always my favorite thing to do. This, hi Virginia, yeah, this is a very cool paper pack. I'll show you again. I showed it at the beginning. Let's see, yeah. I want this to be a little wonky. So, and you might think it's weird that I'm not even putting like photos on this page. I mean, you might think it's a little weird, but actually, do I want that there? I want to save space for my title. I think I need that. I'm going to hold off on that for a sec, and let's fill this with veggies. But one of the things that we really do spend a lot of time doing is cooking. We cook like every day, okay? We are always making different soups and stews and things. And now that I'm, you know, so big time into Weight Watchers, everything is fresh. Like, we're always buying, you know, fresh vegetables. Do I want another thing of carrots on there? I don't know. What am I missing, y'all? You know, the die cutting is growing on me because the die cuts, honestly, I like stamping so much, but the die cutting is getting to be kind of fun because I really like how Stampin' Up's dies, you can stamp just like I did, or you can cut them out of the paper. You know what I mean? You can make that any way you want. I haven't pushed everything down, can you tell? I think I'm gonna put another thing of lettuce. See, I cut that out of the pattern paper. I just think that's really neat. What a great idea. And that way, if I'm in the mood to stamp, I can. And if I'm not, I don't have to. All right. And do I want to put another little... I have this little, you know, the greenery thing that I can add. I just kind of cut it off the top of those turnips. So, you know, you can tuck those in anywhere, like they're coming out of your crate. There. Okay, let's talk titles. So this time of year and I have a whole story that I want to put on here, but this time of year, it is our time to make yard sauce, and it's called, I'm a cross stitcher, and one of the cross stitch people who's very well known does a lot of recipes, and this is one of her. She's Italian and she does a lot of recipes, and this is how she makes her like homemade tomato sauce. It's like a roasted tomato sauce, and so we started doing it and we liked it so well. Now when my dad's yard goes crazy with tomatoes, it's, you know, we're set. And then I wanted to use these little ones and write time for, let me see if I have all my letters. Let's see if I left space. Time. They're so little, but they're perfect for something like this, right? So that'll be kind of how I want that to go. Let me go ahead and put these on. I played around with, you know, I have a lot of alphabets and I played around with a lot of different ones. I played around with a lot of different colors because obviously this paper will work with, like I said, all those fall colors. I totally could have made this brown or gold or green, or even used the purple on here. That eggplant purple color, it would have looked really good. So I ended up with this. This is candy apple red, these little tomatoes. And then this is cranberry red, which is just like scarlet. So it's a little redder than scarlet. Scarlet has a little more brown in it. So I really love, I think, ooh, it's starting to lighten up outside. I think it's past. Still raining hard though. But it's not black outside anymore. Oh, gosh, it looked like night out here. So, yay. I didn't like the idea of, I don't think it's storming too far north of here, but I didn't like the idea of driving up there in the rain. All right. I'm gonna put one of my blocks on there. I should get out my tweezer or my little wax stick so I can hold these letters instead of using my fingers because they're sticking to me. Oh, see, this would be perfect paper to, you know, document that part of your life. This is such a routine. I have an aunt who canned every year, and I tell you what, I never have. I think there was one year that we processed all of our apples from our apple tree. We had so many apples. We had bushels and bushels and bushels of apples. And so we made applesauce for everybody for Christmas. And so we did a little bit of like canning. And honestly, I was like, you know, this is a lot of work. I mean, between my mom and Steve and I mean, we spent hours, you know, peeling apples, prepping apples. It was like, ugh, this is some work. So what do you can? What do you grow? I guess I should say grow. So, all right. Okay. Glue, 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 glue. Make sure everything's glued down. There is the left page. I really like how that turned out. And then let's go back to this right page. So there's how to look together. And then I cut one of the papers I didn't show, that dark green paper, the flip of it is this tomato print, which is so cute. I was like, I gotta use it on a tomato recipe page. There's no, you know, it would be cute on a, it'd be cute on a card or something too, but I was like, oh, I gotta use that. Have to. And then, I have a couple of photo mats for the pictures of us making this, and I'm so weird with the taking pictures when we're cooking. Steve's like, he's getting used to smiling with hot pads on his hands and stuff. He's so funny. But anyway, there's that. And then I made this, It's a Beautiful Life is from the Close to My Heart stamps, and I thought it would look good kind of tucked in somewhere. I cut out that other tomato, and I think I'm gonna again just commit to putting this weird vine down. And I'll put the tomato down. I have a weird topper. You can see that my tomato plants my tomatoes are not, you know, Cricut cuts. I will just say that they are not Cricut cuts, but that's okay. You know, not everything has to be super perfect. I'm just gonna put that like that. And I have another little cherry tomato. I feel like I need another center for my cherry tomato. I may have to cut a little center. I don't know. I don't love that leaf. I'm gonna think about that one. I can't decide if I like it well enough, but I do think I need a center on my cherry tomatoes. So let me grab that paper again. And this paper I added to it, Virginia. Wow, that's amazing. Look at all the different veggies in this pack. I really like that the dies will cut them out. If you don't want to color, you can just lay the dies out and cut them out. There's flowers on the back, so you don't have to feel guilty about using the whole page if you don't like the flowers, right? This page has flowers and it has a wood grain, which makes a really cool kind of gardeny, rustic, outdoorsy look. There's that tomato print that I'm looking for. The green plaid. The little bags and totes, and that's where I got that little crate. It's laying right there. Where? Am I losing my mind? I don't see it. He said, oh, I see it. It's there. Oh, thank you. Gosh. Thank you. Losing it. Actually, I could have even probably used the one from the, you know, when I was showing you how I made it. The other thing you can do to make these look a little more less generic or whatever is put a little you know, a little bit of shading on them. You know what I mean? Like you can use your daubers and add a little shading onto it, and it'll make it look more rounded. But I don't have my dauber out here right now, so it's just going to be this way. And I'm going to put that there. And now I set that damn thing down again. Oh, there it is. Okay. And then I have this beautiful life, which I could put anywhere. I'm not sure where I want to put it yet. Let me just lay this out and see where I like it. I think over here in this corner. That'll give me room to tell my story right there too. So, you know, this paper has, I can't say it stumped me because I fell in love with it the minute I saw it. I think the issue was that I don't actually garden. And so I just needed to figure out how I wanted to use it. And since I have so many friends that garden, this has worked out. And I go, you know, if you go to the farmer's market, I don't always go to the farmer's market because around here, the farmer's market is actually more expensive than going to the grocery store. But, you know, that would be a cool place to take some photos. I cut these out thinking I would need like some tabs, like some flags on here somewhere. And I may do a little something right here where I tell my story just to anchor it. So I'm going to keep this here. But there's basically my page. And let me see if it'll let me, there, you get to see, sorry, not trying to make you dizzy or anything, but I really like how this turned out. I like how the, it's a more of a challenge to make all of your little, you know, every little thing that you want to put on the page when you're making it versus using a sticker sheet or something. But you know what? This is pretty rewarding, and I really like it. The other thought I had, and I think I may still do this. I got this batch of twine, Baker's Twine Essentials, and it has all these colors in it. There's also a linen thread that has kind of more of a tweedier look. I don't even know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. But I was thinking it would look really cool to put this across the page. And I probably could have done it, you know, before I did the tomatoes. But one tip to putting this on a page like this is to just make the tiniest slit where you want it to be. Like I want it in the middle of the green, so I'm gonna make a tiny, tiny slit right there, and a tiny, tiny slit right there. And then when you put your string or baker's twine across, you can tuck it into that little tiny slit like that. And then when you flip it over, you know it's not gonna move on you, right? And then on this side, I like to use like my ugly washi tape, that I was gonna throw away anyway, but it's acid free, so I like to use that on the back. And then sometimes I'll even put just a tiny bit of glue under there so that if the washi tape doesn't hold up, the glue will. You know what I mean? So that way we have this well put together. I'm really glad I don't have to water today. And then on the other side, I'm just gonna take that twine and I'm gonna tie little knots along it. And you can do as many as you want, and you can move this wherever you want. Like you can slide it, you know, if you wanted it over here. It's really heavy over here, so I'm gonna move it over here. And I like to do 3. I like to do 1, 2, 3. But wherever you decide you want it, then I just put a dot of glue or a glue dot, you know, if you have a glue dot. I just put it there so it won't slide after that, right? So it's just kind of a cool idea, and I'm gonna do it on both sides, but I know you don't have to watch me do both sides. So, but I just thought, this is kind of a neat way to add even more kind of rusticy look to it. I'll probably trim those a little shorter. I'll wait for my glue to dry, and I'll put those kind of close together. One more, and then okay, so the big announcement. One thing that's interesting to me is that ever since I signed up with Stampin' Up, they have had a hell of a sale every month. They've done something to make it worthwhile to shop. And I appreciate that as someone who scrapbooks, because they don't really have their scrapbooking line all out yet. And so, you know, trying to help us, you know, keep our customers happy and that kind of thing. I mean, you can scrapbook like this, you know, this is obviously not a scrapbooking stamp set necessarily, but there. I like it. Is it too weird? Put that and that and that. I'm gonna just put a dot of glue under it, and that'll dry, and I like how it looks. So But they're having a sale starting August 6th. I posted it to the page. Moose. And you can tell I tied that the other direction because it wants to lay the other direction. I mean, so the OCD in me is going crazy. Oh, good, Heather, I'm glad you like it. Yard sauce, you gotta try this if you haven't ever. I just, once I bake this and roast it and you let it cool and you put it in a blender and just blend it up, you don't even, don't do anything else to it. You don't have to peel your tomatoes or do anything. And once it's all blended up and I just put it into those freezer bags, like those gallon freezers or quart freezers. And then you have basically spaghetti sauce. And then when you take it out of the freezer and heat it up, I usually add a little more salt, a little, like a teaspoon of sugar. Sometimes you need a little sugar in tomato sauce to me, for spaghetti especially. But it is really, it's really good. It's shockingly good. And you can throw in other vegetables too, because, they taste good in it. I should make, I'm getting ready to make a batch. My dad's finally starting to get tomatoes. They have not grown well this year for some reason. But he started giving me tomatoes, and I was going to make a batch of yard sauce this weekend, and I might throw some of that yellow squash in there because I think it'll be fine. Anyway, don't you love it? Don't you just love it? I just think this is really, really cute. And I still do have some veggies I could put on here. Yeah. I just think it's adorable. I just think it's totally adorable. So I'd like to see what you guys come up with. Yours are still green. Yeah, see, he just started getting, he gave me a bag of cherry tomatoes. He grows cherry tomatoes, and he picks them while they're just starting to blush, just a little. They're still green, but they got a little blush because otherwise the squirrels and rabbits get them. And then he's got this window but in his house where he lays them all out so they turn ripe, red. I tend to get a lot of tomatoes. I tend to get squash. Cucumbers, I have a few cucumbers, but nobody in my house eats cucumbers for some reason. But I have one neighbor that likes to give me those. And then I have another neighbor who likes to give me zucchini, and I haven't totally figured out what to do with zucchini yet. Although there's a lot more recipes for that online. So, okay. This is what I got. I'm gonna go. It looks like it stopped raining. I can't believe that. Every time I go live. Oh yeah, cucumber. Nobody eats cucumber in my house. I don't know. I really feel like this needs some red gems. I may add some red gems. And I may add some more twine to this side too. Although now I have my tomato in the way. I'll think about that. I think I can poke a hole in there and thread it through. This is the stitching in me that makes me want to make this work. Right? I'm just gonna poke that hole and thread it through. You probably think I'm crazy doing that, but oh, I just dropped that on top of my dog. He's just laying there. He's like, I don't know what you're doing, Mom. Probably be easier to go from the other side. So, olive oil in the oven. That's how I do, like, everything, squash and zucchini, but you know, I get tired of it, and I'm the only one who eats it. So that's a challenge, right? It's like I end up with gobs of it. You can only like eat so much of that before you're like, ugh, I'm done. That's why I get so much from people, right? Is because the people are trying to get rid of the excess, and it's wonderful. I mean, it's very kind of them. I'm not complaining. But I do understand why I get so much, because I dropped my spool on the floor, so I'm just going to cut the end off before I lose it. It's under my dog. Okay, see how that worked? Look at that. You can't even tell that there's a hole in there. That's perfect. That's perfect. So now are you going to buy this market paper, Heather? I want to know. The DSP, the Designer Series paper, pattern paper sale starts August 6th. And it's like 15% off, which is great. Because, you know, but I like stacking things. So if you use your little coupon, you know, your little $5 coupon, plus you get something on sale, I mean, you just get more for your money, right? That's how I feel. And it's totally worth it to me to stock up on a little bit of paper. You know, that Mediterranean paper is another one I used a lot of, and I used it completely up. It's great for summer. There's a few, I use that zinnia paper, but I don't know, it's just so not my style. I'm not sure I'd buy more of it. I gotta get a hold of that better. I'm gonna do this one backwards again, so this one's gonna be wonky. So, all right. I may add a couple of gems, red tomato colored gems. But other than that, I am done with this page. What do you think? Tell me if you like it. I'm gonna make a couple of cards using these papers on Friday, if all goes well. I really like that. That's really cool. I'm gonna put a little dot glue there and there. That way my knots don't come apart and they don't slide around. All right. Thanks for watching. Yeah, right. Well, the good thing about this is the opposite. You can pick, let me just set this aside for a sec. You can pick the paper you love. So I love the veggies. I don't love those flowers. I love the wood. I don't necessarily love those flowers. These flowers are nice, but I love this green. So I've used both of those. This one's really great for cutting out, but I love the purple. The purple is cool. So this one, I've decided to use one sheet as purple and one to cut out little parts. See? Then this one is that one that I told you is like gold. It's actually, I hate this pattern. I don't know why I hate it, but I don't like the color combo. I don't like the flowers. But this side is okay. And as a matter of fact, I thought about adding a tiny, tiny strip of it across the top. I mean, just think of like a 1/4 inch strip of that, because it's kind of the same color as on that tomato paper. So this one's usable. And then what's the other one? The other one, oh, the green. Love the green, love it. The other side is that tomato paper, which I have totally used, but I won't know if I would use a lot more of it. So there's your papers. And I find them all to be pretty usable. You don't have to use the ones you don't love. Like if you don't want purple in there, don't you know. Although the purple really helps with the fall color scheme. And I find that this color helps with the fall color scheme. Because once you start adding the fall colors to it, you know, it all works. It all works. So, there you go. Yeah, the tomatoes are cute. The tomatoes are adorable. That's why I had to use them on this page, see? I used them as a background. And I had to make my mats small enough that you could tell that those were tomatoes because I thought they were cute. So, all right. That's what I got today. I keep talking, but I need to go. It's because it's early, and I need to go get coffee and get revved up a little bit. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.